The basis of eligibility, determining eligibility based on income applications. Presented by the Arkansas Department of Education, Division of Elementary and Secondary Education, Child Nutrition Unit. Prepared August 2019. United States Department of Agriculture Non-Discrimination Statement. Goals and objectives. This presentation will discuss carryover of previous year's eligibility, household composition, determining reportable income, processing, approving, and denying applications, addressing special situations when establishing eligibility, application types, processing sample applications. Carryover of previous year's eligibility. Carryover refers to a child's eligibility from the previous school year being carried over into the current or new school year. A child's eligibility status carries over for up to 30 operating days beginning on the first operating day of school. This will be different in each district depending on the start day. When school starts, that would be considered the first operating day. Meals served during the carryover period are claimed at the eligibility status of the previous school year or until a new eligibility has been established. Operating day. The days on which reimbursable meals or milk are provided by a school. Carryover of previous year's eligibility. Carryover within the same district. When a student moves to a new school within the district must carry over eligibility for a child with an approved application or direct certification on file from the previous year. Children residing in the household where another child has been approved the previous year, such as a sibling. So if you have a family that has a child that's not in school yet and they're starting kindergarten, and they were either on an income application that was approved for free or reduced, or their siblings were on a direct certification list, those students are eligible for the 30-day carryover of the status of free or reduced from the previous year. Carryover between districts. When a student moves to a new district, the new district is encouraged to use the former district's eligibility determination from the previous school year. Carryover from provision schools. When a student moves from a special provision district to a non-provision district, the new school must carry over the student's free eligibility status for up to 10 days or until a new eligibility has been established. So it is strongly encouraged to carry over between districts of students' eligibility. But when it comes to provision schools, and our special provisions are provision 1, 2, 3, and then community eligibility. So in Arkansas, provision 2 and CEP, they must carry over the status if a student comes from a special provision school, school districts must carry over that free status for up to 10 operating days or until a new eligibility has been established. This was issued in the USDA Memo SP 30, 2019 and issued on June 10, 2019. Duration of eligibility. Once an eligibility determination is made, a child's eligibility status remains in effect for the remainder of the school year, plus the carryover of 30 operating days. If no new determination is made after the 30-day carryover period, a child's benefit for free and reduced meals expires and they return to full paid status. Year-long duration of eligibility. Households are not required to report changes to income or any other circumstance that would decrease their benefit. Once a student is established as free or reduced, they can keep that for the rest of the school year. If they were homeless whenever they enrolled, but then they have gotten on their feet and they have gotten a home, they do not have to reapply and they are able to keep that free status that was determined by the homeless liaison for the rest of the school year. Household composition. Economic unit. A group of related or unrelated individuals who are living as one economic unit and whose members share housing, significant income, and expenses, excluding institutions or boarding houses. An economic unit, as it states here, can be made up of people that are related or unrelated. It could be aunts, uncles, grandparents, people that are living in the same economic unit under the same household. We have many special situations when it comes to determining household composition. Adopted children, children away at school, families with joint custody, emancipated child, child paying room and board, foreign exchange student, foster child, family members living apart, and deployed service personnel. So for a little detail on each one of these. An adopted child for whom a household has accepted legal responsibility is considered to be a member of the household. If the household receives assistant payments or a subsidy for the adoption, the assistant payments or subsidy are included as income. So that adopted child would need to be listed as a household member. Child away at school. A child who is temporarily away at school, for example, attending a boarding school or college, is included as a member of the household. Although they're temporarily away, they are still household members. They would need to be listed on the application. Joint custody. In joint custody situations, a child may physically change residence regularly. If both parents or guardians apply for meal benefits within the same LEA, but the eligibility determination is different, the greater benefit level is used. So, if there is a mother that applies for benefits, and based on her household, people in her household and her income, the children qualify for reduced benefits. And then a father fills out an application for those same two children, and based on his household and household income, the children are eligible for free benefits. The greater benefit would go to the students, which would be free, and that would be the application that they would need to be on as their source document. Emancipated child. A child living alone or as a separate economic unit is considered to be a household of one. If an emancipated child lives alone as a household of one or as a member of a household with no adult household members, the emancipated child must sign the application. No portion of their Social Security number is required on the application of an emancipated child. So we have this situation happen in many of our school districts, especially in our high schools, our older students. Some children will be emancipated and be living alone. They are eligible to apply for free and reduced benefits based on their economic unit, which would be possibly just a home of one. They would need to put their income on that application, and then it'd be processed with how many members of the household were there. They can sign the application if they're an emancipated child. Child paying room and board. Separate economic units are usually characterized by prorating most household expenses. Children living within a household and paying for room and board are usually paying a token amount and are not economically independent of the household. Therefore, in most situations, these children are not considered to be a household of one and are instead included in the larger household for the purpose of determining eligibility. This would have to be a case-by-case instance, but the guidance is stating that when most children are paying room and board, they are still not paying the full amount of room and board that it would require for them to stay in that room if they were the only person living there. And so they need to be considered not independent of the household, but a household member as as a whole and apply based on the household and all the members in that household. Foreign exchange student. A foreign exchange student is considered to be a member of the household, the host household, in which the foreign exchange student resides. Foster child. For the child nutrition program eligibility purposes, a foster child is considered a member of the foster parent's household if the child is placed through a formal arrangement by a court or state child welfare agency. Whether placed by the state child welfare agency or court, in order for a child to be considered categorically eligible for free meals, the state must retain legal custody of the child. Family members living apart. Family members who are living apart on a temporary basis are considered household members. Family members who are not living with the household for an extended period of time are not considered members of the household for purposes of determining eligibility. It will be up to the local district to decide what an extended period of time would be. Deployed service personnel. Members of the armed services who are activated or deployed in support of any military combat operation are counted as household members. Determining reportable income. For free and reduced meal applications, income needs to be cited for all household members. Income is any income received on a recurring basis, including earnings, pensions, child or spousal report. Gross income is what we ask for the family to report. That is all money earned before deductions, including income taxes, Social Security taxes, insurance premiums, and bond. Current income is what is asked by the households to report on the application. It's gross income received by a household before deductions for the current month or the amount projected for the first month for which the application is being filled out. There are different income sources to be reported. This is the USDA prototype application. The income sources to be reported are child's income, and then here at the bottom where we have the adults listed, income is asked to be broken down from earnings from work, public assistance, child support or alimony, and then pensions, retirement, and all other income. Indication of no income. Households may indicate that there is no income by reporting a 0 or writing no income on the application. We take that application at face value. If they do not fill out the blanks, it is assumed that there is no income for that income source for that particular household member. So let's look at some examples of determining reportable income, some special situation. For seasonal workers, their work may be very low in some months and very high in others. In this instance, this particular adult has low income in January and December, the very peak income during about the time it's time to fill out an application. So in August, what does he put? Households may project an annual income when it comes to seasonal working because that time may not be reflective of how much they make for the entire year. Self-employed. Self-employed individuals may use their previous year's income to project their current year's income. Net income is credited with net income rather than gross income. For example, a self-employed farmer would calculate their income by subtracting their operating expenses from their gross income receipts. This is one of the special situations where that net income would be reported on the application. Income from rental properties. Income includes money derived from the rental property. Rental income may be treated the same as self-employed income in the event of expenses. This is again where you would take your total amount and subtract your expenses, and that would be the amount that you get and report annually for income on the application. Military benefits. For non-deployed, include income benefits such as food and clothing allowances on the application. For deployed, only include the portion of a deployed service member's income made available to the household. Foster income. Foster children are eligible for free benefits, but non-foster children in the household are not. If the family includes the foster child as a member of the household, any personal income received by the foster child is reportable. Personal income may include part or full-time jobs. Child's income. Earning regardless of age or work status, part-time or full-time, must be listed on the application as income. This includes supplemental or Social Security. Now, if it is a random or occasional job such as babysitting here and there or mowing lawns, that does not have to be counted as a part of the income. Alimony and child support. This must be included as income on the application. No income, again, any field left blank is a positive indication that there is no income, and the determining official would take that at face value. Income exclusions that you would not have to list on the application would be cash or value of benefits excluded by statute, such as the value of benefits under SNAP and some federal education benefits. Payments received from a foster care agency, student financial assistance, loans, and infrequent earnings such as an occasional yard work job. Processing applications. Applications must be processed within 10 operating days. During those 10 days, these are things that must happen. An eligibility determination must be made. The family must be notified of the status. The status must be implemented. The determining official must sign or initial the application. It must include an approval date and indicate what benefit that application has been determined to be. Is it free, reduced, or denied? Districts must not delay the approval of applications if the household fails to provide non-essential information. So what is essential and what is not essential on an application? Essential information includes student's name, the names and number of household members, all income, the frequency and source of the income, the Social Security number, the last 4 digits, or a check that says that they do not have a Social Security number, and a signature. These are all essential for proper processing of an application. Non-essential things include the street address, the phone number, a birth date, or potentially additional information asked upon by the local district. This is not a reason to complete the processing of the application. If all essential information has been included, then the determination needs to be made and the process needs to be complete. This is again the USDA prototype household application. Essential information would be to know the child's first name and last name, and then any household members and any income, the source and type of income, those last 4 Social Security number, or if there's not a Social Security number, and then a signature. This is an example of that same application highlighted with things that are not essential. Do not hold up processing if they do not put the name of the school, if they do not put their street address, the date that they signed the application, things like that. Flexibility in determining effective date of eligibility. Districts may establish the date of submission as the effective date of eligibility. rather than the date the official approved the application. Okay, so what this means is that if little Johnny brings the application in on Monday, and then it sits on the teacher's desk until Tuesday, and then it sits in the school's office until Wednesday, and then it's put in the child nutrition box on Thursday, and it's not processed by the determining official until Friday, usually that's whenever the processing date would be whenever the application would go into effect. Well, there is a flexibility to that. So if you decided that, and this was a form that we had filled out during the agreement, the school food authority would or would not use the flexibility. If you decided to use the flexibility and there was a process in place for date stamping or some way to identify whenever that application came in to the school, the determination for that eligibility that was made on Friday could start on Monday, because that was whenever officially it came into the school district. So a good procedure would need to be put in place, and the teachers would need to date stamp it, or if the teachers didn't date stamp it and it was sent to the elementary office, a date stamp would need to be done there. That way you could start it based on the date that it actually was received into the school. The last thing we want to do is penalize a family for the processing of the application. You have up to 10 operating days to process, but the sooner you could get the eligibility started would not only be beneficial for the program, but it would be beneficial for the family too, because then they wouldn't necessarily be subject to charges that may accrue before the application has been processed. Remember, when using date flexibility, districts must refund any money by or on the behalf of a child for reimbursable meals during the period of effective date through the date certification is actually implemented at the school. So in the example that I gave before, if mom sent money on Monday and the application was processed finally on Friday and that student would need to be free, if that money was used to purchase meals Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, that would need to be reimbursed to the family. Now, a lot of electronic systems have a way of doing this, but if you're manually processing your applications, you have a manual system set up, you need to remember to reimburse or refund that money back to the family if you are collecting reimbursement for them based on the date that it came in. Denied applications. Households that do not meet eligibility criteria that fill out an application are considered denied. Districts must send proper written notification of their denial to the adult that submitted the application. Proper written notification is either a letter or an email. Parents are given the right to appeal. All denied applications have the right to appeal the determination. Procedures for how to do the appeal need to be given in the written notification, along with the hearing official that would hear the appeal. Notice of adverse action. All currently certified households for whom benefits are to be reduced or terminated must be given 10 calendar days written notice of the change prior to the date the change will go into effect. That written notice should include what the change in benefits are, the reasons for the change, the appeal instructions, and the statement advising the household that they can reapply at any time. Many times from year to year, there may be a change in the income of a household. If it goes up, they may have benefits go from being free 1 year to reduced 1 year. A household and family needs to have ample time to make that adjustment. That's why the 10 calendar days are there and why they must receive written notice, because then they have the ability to appeal the situation if they don't agree with it. Processing applications. So this slide has two examples of applications. These are both USDA prototype applications. The one on the left is a paper application. The one on the right is the USDA prototype online meal application. And so applications can come in many forms based on the local level decision. Just a reminder that if you're using something besides the USDA prototype form, it will need to be approved by your area specialist or us at the Arkansas State Agency before you begin using it. When you're processing applications, the materials that you are going to need include the eligibility manual for school meals, income eligibility guidelines for the current year. The income eligibility guidelines do change year to year, and they are usually released around spring of the previous year. Those income eligibility guidelines would go into effect when processing applications. You may not process applications until after July 1st of the current year. That's whenever a new application can go into effect. And then you also will need your approved meal application, either USDA prototype, which is a paper application, or approved paper or web-based application through the Department of Education. We have also approved scanned applications. There's just been a variety of ways that applications have grown from just being a paper form. For web-based meal applications, there is a form that came out in the 2019-20 policy statement, part of the agreement, where we would need to verify, as I said before, the area specialists need to sign off that all the information that is put out in the USDA prototype is also on your web-based application. And so there is a form that must be filled out, checked off, and signed by the superintendent, technology coordinator, and child nutrition director that we need to have on file if you are using web-based meal applications. Now, although this information goes out during the agreement and policy statement phase, that doesn't mean that you can't start web-based meal applications anytime during the school year. As long as you can get an approval from the state agency, you are free to start a web-based meal application at any time. Establish income eligibility. So these are the income eligibility guidelines for school year 2019 and 2020. If you'll see, the household size is listed here to the left. Then there are income eligibility guidelines for free and for reduced. What you do is you will take your application, you will calculate how many people are in the household, and that will tell you, based on the income and frequency that they have put in, where they will fall on the chart. If they qualify for free meals, they will have under the amount listed based on what your calculations were. If you had to calculate them and convert it all to annual, you use the annual category. If they've only listed monthly income, you can use the monthly category, and then twice per month, every 2 weeks, or weekly, just based on the income frequency that they have reported. Now, if they are, for example, a household of 4, if they are under $33,475 per year, then they would qualify for free meals. If they are under $47,638 per year, but over $33,475, they would qualify for reduced meals. If they are over $47,638, they would be considered a paid or denied application. Household size and household gross income are compared in the income eligibility guidelines. Some income conversions, things that you should know. If a household lists multiple income sources with varying frequency, the district must analyze by multiplying if it's weekly income by 52, bi-weekly income, which is received every 2 weeks, by 26, if it's semi-monthly income, which is received twice a month, by 24, and then monthly income by 12. So this should be reported by the family to know how often that they are getting a check. and then you can convert when there are multiple income frequencies on one. So let's do some practice processing applications. This application has 2 students listed, Sam and Sarah Allen, and then it also has 4 other household members listed. When I look at this, what jumps out at me is this number 5. That's the total number of household members that the family has reported that they have in their home. But when I look at this, I can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's an error here. This is a perfect time for you to reach out to the family and call them and say, were there really 5 in the household or were there 6? So you reached out to Steph Allen, who filled out the application, and she told you, oh, I must have written that incorrectly. There are actually 6 people in the household. Okay, so what you would do on the application is just draw a little line through the 5, write the correct number, 6, and then you would want to put on here, you know, who you are, KJ, the date, and that you contacted Steph, reported incorrect amount of household members. Just a small little note to show that on there. Okay? Alright, so now we know how many members we have. Next, it's time to process our income information. So this is on the back of the application. It's a tool for you to consolidate your income and to make your final determination. So while looking at this application, we know that there is $200 worth of childhood income, and then there's $100 here and $100 here, all by the week. So you can put that amount together before you do your income conversions. So I take 200 plus 100 plus 100. That gives me $400 per week that this household is getting, times our 52, which is our weekly conversion to get to annually. That gives me $20,800. Now there's other income on this application. Steph Allen is making $1,500 per month. So if $1,500 is listed in the monthly income and you multiply that times 12, it comes to $18,000. Next you'll add the numbers here and come to a sum of $38,800 annually. So this is going to be reported over here to the left to show their total income. You also would need to put the frequency for that income because it's going to come into play when you're using your income eligibility guidelines. All right. Again, there was an error here. This should be 6. And a family wouldn't be writing this here, but you would. This is for school use only. That should be 6. So we're going to take our amounts here, and we're going to look at the income eligibility guidelines. We have 6 people in the household, so this is the line that we're going to be looking at. Let's focus here. Don't worry about what's above that. That's based on the application where we fixed it in the presentation. So there are 6 people in the household, and they make $38,800 annually. So first place we're going to look is in our free. Do they make less than $44,964? Yes, they do. They only make $38,800. So that would put them as free eligible. So we're going to come back up here, we're going to fill in our free eligible, and then as a determining official, you would sign off and date the time that you determine that income application. Okay, next, another example. We have 3 students in the household. They have 0 child income. Then we have 3 other household members. It gives us a total of 6 household members. Going to our conversion, we have $720 worth of weekly income. That converts to $37,440. Then we have $1,000 every 2 weeks, which would be times 26, which would be $26,000. That adds up to $63,440. That's then placed over here. We put the frequency, which is yearly, the household size, which is 6, and now we're going to look at our income eligibility guidelines. Take 63,440, so I'm going to go down to 6 in the household again. 63,440. Well, that's not less than our free, but is it less than our reduced? Yes. It's 63,440. The top for the reduced is 63,992. This family would end up being reduced. Now, what I did right here is I got a little ahead of myself and I thought it was denied. When I took a second look at it, I made the correction. That was an error KJ on 815 that it is actually reduced. This is completely appropriate information to have on your applications. You know, sometimes they can't always be just clean. We do make mistakes. And so it's okay to note that there was a problem and to have the correct determination on there. And just note that when you found it or who made the error. Okay, next, another sample application. We have Dan Marks. He's in the 11th grade. And then we have a Nicole and Daniel Marks. All right. There are 3 in the household. Let's look at their income information. We have $100 twice a month. That would be Dan's income. It ends up being $2,400. And then we have $450 monthly and $744 monthly. So I did my little math right here and added them up. $1,194. Multiply that times 12. It comes to $14,328. So we now have an annual amount of $16,728. Again, annual. There are 3 in the household. So my income eligibility guidelines, I'll go to the household of 3. It is $27,729 at the top level. Well, they make $16,728. They would be considered free. Mark them as free, eligible. Sign off, K. Jackson, 813. That one's processed. Here's another application and something that I haven't spoke about yet. If you have to convert or translate an application, USDA has many translated applications for different languages available on their website, which is linked here above. Just because you send out an application of a language that you're not familiar with doesn't mean that you can't process it. The great thing about using the USDA translated applications is they're in the exact same format as an English application. So you should be able to follow it based on the information that's listed below, even if you don't speak the language. Okay? So in this instance, we have 1 student, and then they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people in the household, which gives us a total of 6. This application is a little bit different. It hasn't converted up to 1920 with all the features on the back for the processing, so I kind of just did my own shorthand to show. We have our income here, which David and Danielle may have $1,800 per month. So I listed that there. And then Josh makes $250 twice a month. So my conversion for that was 24. So I did the math on both of those and added them up and got $27,600 annually, which was then listed here. The number in the household. And then it asks for the frequency, I think. Let me zoom in there. Looking at the income guidelines, we have 6 people in the household, and they make $27,600, which would put them at free. Signed off, determining official, and date listed. Now, with all these applications, you would need to be looking for those essential things to be filled out to ensure the completion of processing. So the Social Security number would have to be listed, and there would have to be a signature at the bottom. Okay? Next, we have a SNAP app. So SNAP apps have less information that are essential on them. If they fill out the SNAP number right here, as this Jessica Owen did, it could be a case number for anyone in the household, and it would need to go right here. As long as there is a signature at the bottom stating that yes, this is true information, and a date, this can be processed. What's different for a SNAP app is not necessary is the last four of a social or an indication that they do not have a social security number. This application would be okay to go ahead and process. We determined that they were SNAP, so that gives them a free eligibility, and then it is signed off on. We don't have any income information on there. Even if there was income information listed, you wouldn't have to do the conversions and things because that SNAP number on there would trump that income information. Next, we have another SNAP application. This one has the student's name and then a 16-digit number identified here in the SNAP case number box. And then it has the last four of a social. So first of all, it's missing a signature. There still has to be a signature here for you to continue your processing. Another thing to note is only the case number may be used to determine eligibility. Electronic benefit insurance transfer card number used by SNAP may not be used to establish categorical eligibility. A 16-digit number is usually their EBT card number, not their case number. So this would be a family you would want to contact back and say, look, I didn't get enough information. Could you please give me the case number? And we need a signature. Can you fill out a new application? This presentation was built by using the reference of the Eligibility Manual for School Meals Determining and Verifying Eligibility. It was released in July 2017, but is still current for processing applications. The information was pulled from sections 2, 3, and 4. If you need further assistance on processing your applications or have a special situation that you need to speak through, you may contact us at 501-324-9502. Contact your area specialist and we will get you an answer and provide support for you as you are processing applications. Today is the day. A, B, C, D, E, F, G.